Hi guys, Karen here. Today I'm going to be working with my June hip kit and I'm using this beautiful backing paper by Pink Paisley from the Oh My Heart collection. And I've already pre-backed my photograph. I started working on this at my scrapbooking club a couple of weeks ago. I didn't get very far. This is basically as far as I got, just putting some backing papers and a doily behind my photograph in 2 hours of scrapping because it was a really hot evening and I wasn't feeling it at the time. This is one of the papers I've used. It's by Dear Lizzie and it's from the Lovely Day collection. So I used both sides, as the orange as the sort of very light orange background and then the bit of the other diamondy side as well. So that's as far as I got. So now, and I've managed to get a bit of craft foam on. So now I'm going to continue now adding some embellishments from mostly either the cut aparts, which are by Pinkfresh Studios. There's a cut apart sheet, and also some of the die cuts from the Vicky Bouton ephemera pack. So I'm just picking out mainly the cut aparts that coordinate with the backing paper, that's all in the mints and the blues. I picked out the blue in my background behind my photo, as there's a bit of blue in the photo. So they're the colours I'm mainly sticking with the odd little bit of pink here and there. So there's a couple of tags from the ephemera pack on the left there with a little die cut with fun on it and a little flag. Those large square cut aparts at the bottom there, I keep trying to make them work, but eventually they don't make it, well, don't make it as they are on the layout, but I do keep trying with them. It's Friday. It's a chipboard piece from the On a Whim thickers that were by Amy Tan that were included in the kit. So I like that because it actually, when this photograph was taken, it was Friday, funnily enough. So I thought, well, I might as well just use that because it coordinates with everything else and it's nice and bold and it makes quite a good title. And again, similarly with the Super, same. It's the right colour, and that's another chipboard piece from the On a Whim sheet. The butterfly is from the Vicky Bouton ephemera pack, and so I'm just playing around with these, trying to make it work. So I'm just going to put these tags to the left of my photo. Just going to put a little in that one. It's got a hole, so it needs to have a little piece of cord just added to make it complete, and I'll tack that in there. These I just put them all there, and they just seem to work together. So I didn't really think about those too much. They just went in quite nicely, and I've just put a little bit of foam on the circular fun, so that it sits over across the photograph. Because that's been lifted, this little die cut is going to sit on the photo, so that needs to be lifted a little bit as well with some fun foam there. Yep, that's just sitting about right. So it's taken me a while to get the piece of foam just to the size that it needs to be so that it sits properly over that corner. That's about right. And yep, still hanging on to that Wild and Free card. That definitely does not make it in the end. It was just too big to sit there. The colours were just right, but it was too big, and I thought it really doesn't add anything to the layout. So although I keep hanging on to it and I'm reluctant to get rid of it because the colours are so right, it eventually has to go. So I'm still working on that little cluster on the left there, sticking those in, that little flag, and the word Super, because it pulls together, the blue across the page there from the top right down to the left. So that's keeping that colour scheme going right across the page. And I'm going to put this little die cut, just cut that one down. That says Never Give Up. And in some ways, the Never Give Up was fairly appropriate saying, because this was actually at the end of quite a busy day. And I was pretty tired by this time, and it was like the final thing we were going to do was visit this village on stilts. It's along the River Rhine, and I was quite tired, and I wasn't sure I was going to make it, but we kept going, and it was really, really lovely there, and I managed to make it around the village. So I'm just sticking on my butterfly, rather liking that corner there. No, you've got to give up on that one, Karen. It's really not going to make it. So now I'm going to, referring to this is my traveller's notebook. Well, it's a faux dory, and I made my own inserts, and I always keep a journal when I go on holiday so that I know what I did and when I did it, because I've got a terrible memory. So I was just checking the date in my little journal there to find out what date it was, because I'm going to put the date under It's Friday, so that it's Friday and then the date that it was. Now I'm decided to put a little bit of washi at the top there. I picked out a couple of colours, a sort of corally orangey colour, which I'm just trying on there. And also had some blue, so that's going to just go across the top there. There's the bit of blue, and then just a little narrow strip of the orange one there. And then I put the die cuts, and I realised that by the time I put everything on, you won't see the orange stripe, so I've taken that off again, just keeping to the bit of blue. And that's how it's going to stay. And then I had another little bit of blue. I thought I'll put a bit of the blue washi into a couple of other places. So I'm just going to tuck it in there under the photograph. I had to battle with this a bit. It was a bit tricky to get it under, but I kept persevering, and eventually I got it where I wanted it. Just tucked under there. And then what am I going to do now? No, I've realised that I'm not going to get those two larger squares on the layout. So I'm sticking down the It's Friday, and now I'm putting the date on underneath. Am I going to put that on first? I think I might put the date on first. Now I'm just checking what colour ink to use. I picked out a little Versamark ink pad in a navy blue, or royal blue I think it is, but it's not really dark enough. So then I got out my Distress in, just one moment, I'll just check what colour that is. That's in Chipped Sapphire, so that was a much darker blue. So I popped that on there, and then I put I'm going to stick down It's Friday above it so that it completes the date. Friday the 16th of June, I think it was. That was our last day before we came home. And now trying out another couple of little die cuts just to see what else I might be able to tuck in. No, none of them quite work as far as colour goes. So then I thought I'd just cut out that circular piece there and pop that in, because I felt there was a bit of a gap in that cluster there, which I wanted to put something in. It just says Life, and it picks out the same sort of pale peachy pinky colour. So that worked there. I think I'm going to use this piece. I'm just cutting it down. It was a bit too wide. And it says Here With You Always. And I'm going to do a little cluster in the bottom left there. Just picking out a few that I think might work. Not many of them do. They're all quite large, some of these ephemera in the Vicky Boutin pack. And I wanted quite a small cluster there. So none of that really works terribly well in that space. A bit more of the washi on the bottom there. Not sure about that piece, because it looks like it'd be a really good journaling piece, and so I thought I'd hang on to it for another time. And I've just got out from my stash a little box with some minty coloured bits of ephemera, and trying to pick something else that might work there. And I found that butterfly, and because I've already got a butterfly on the layout, I thought, well, it'd be quite nice to have another one in the corner there, just a smaller one that will tie in nicely. And a little flower I think I've picked out. So I just wanted a few small pieces in the right colours that would just create a little cluster in the bottom left there, just to take the eye down the page towards that left-hand corner. So I found a little phrase. It says Frolic in the Sunshine, but I didn't really want the frolic because it didn't seem appropriate. So I've managed to cover that up under the butterfly there, so it just says In the Sunshine, because it was a beautiful sunny day, so that was appropriate. But there was no frolicking involved. So I'm just sticking that on with the butterfly just angled over it to cover up the word frolic. And there's just a little like a little tag thing on the left there in the minty colour. The words weren't really appropriate, so I covered up most of it. I think the only bit you can see is Live at the top, which is fine. I've decided to tuck in another little piece of, I found another little odd piece of washi that I'd torn off, so I've tucked that in at the side there. So my little cluster is almost complete on the left there. Now I've picked out some of these HipKit exclusive wooden buttons, so I'm going to put one of those in each of the clusters. So there's one at the top with a little orangey middle, and then I'll put a small one in the bottom, which I will change in a minute, and then another one on the left, on the cluster on the left, which is a little minty colour. Decided that one, didn't like that one, so I've changed. Well, I liked it, but it wasn't quite right there. Changed it for another one that was like a blue, more of a bolder blue, a small one. And now there's some of these Shimel enamel dots or enamel shapes, and I'm going to put a couple of those in each of the clusters. After I finished filming, I add another one to each of the clusters, so I thought it needed a third. So I've just put two in there to start with, and then I add another one a bit later on. And now what am I doing? Can't really see. Oh yes, I was just putting some little pearls down the middle of my butterfly, coordinating pale blue pearls. So they're just going down the middle of the butterfly. It just gives it a little bit more dimension and it makes it a little bit prettier just having those pearls there. Going back to my traveller's notebook where I noted I made a journal of all things we did, just trying to check what we did and where we did it, what the place was called. So now I'm just going to put my little bit of journaling straight on the page on the side there, and on that little clear area. Just talking about where we were, a place called Unteruldingen, and it was an open-air museum showing huts that were replicas of huts that they lived in the Bronze Age and the Stone Age, I think, as well. But most of them were Bronze Age. So there we are. That's done. Thank you for joining me, and do join me again soon. Goodbye.